All right, welcome, Inappropriate Earl podcast fans. As you know, I like to span the globe for guests from 80s metal singers like Stephen Pearcy from Rat, stand-up comics like Guy Branum and Josh Wolf, and hell, I even had Jeff Ross on. So that was in the early days. And I also have people from interesting TV shows that I watch. I reach out to them. Most say no. This next guest said yes. He's on the hot new show on Netflix called 20 Somethings in Austin. He caught my attention because he's a stand up comic. Please welcome the one, the only, Mr. Michael Fractor.
All right. Thank you for having me, man.
Oh, dude, thank you. I'm surprised we haven't run into each other since you're from Los Angeles. But I started
Well,
watching.
I moved to Austin to start doing comedy. So like I had never done comedy in LA and I still haven't really.
That's crazy because most people would move from Austin to LA to.
Yeah, no, it was a weird decision, but like when I realized I wanted to do stand up, LA was completely shut down. So I don't know, it just kind of made sense as a place that was open. It was like a new happening town, especially for stand up. So I was like I got to move there cuz I wanted to start doing it.
Now, like most stand-ups, did your friends tell you, "Hey, you're funny, you should get into stand-up," or is it just something you wanted to do?
I think a little combination of both. Most of my friends didn't really give a shit. The ones that did like comedy were like, yeah, I mean, why not try it? My parents kind of liked it. They liked the idea of it, so that was nice. They were like, yeah, just go chase your dream. Why not? Um, but a lot of them were just kind of like, oh, whatever.
I mean, you're very lucky, and not many newer comics get to start out on Netflix. It's
Yeah, it was pretty weird. Like I had been doing comedy at that point for 3 months, and it's like, oh shit, now I'm doing it on Netflix, like the biggest streaming platform. The whole time I was just like, I wish I had like a year of experience under my belt. It would have made this so much easier. But I had 3 months, and like I knew I sucked, but it was just kind of like, oh, what are you gonna do, you know?
yeah, but you're likable, which is so key for a newer comic whose stage presence might not be there yet. Or they don't have the material quite just yet. Like you can get by with being likable. You're like the best friend everyone wants, at least in the
Yeah,
show that I've
thanks.
seen. And it's
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they added me to make me look good. I'm a lot worse off camera.
right. Well, I doubt that. You seem like a pretty good dude. Did you tell us how you got casted? Like, was it something they reached out to you, or you saw something in the trade papers, like stand-up comics wanted?
Yeah, no. So most of the cast got scouted by by casting agents, but like they were all so hot, so the casting agents were like, let's just get these hot people. I had to audition. I had a friend like the week before I moved to Austin, she sent me a TikTok that was like, we have this open audition for this new show, yada yada yada. And I was like, well, fuck it, because I just quit my job. I have a week before I move. I had nothing to do. So I was like, I might as well audition for this. And didn't hear back for 2 months about. And then out of nowhere, I just got a call saying they wanted to move forward. And I did that interview. And he told me they'd let me know by the end of the week or something like that. Didn't hear back for another month. So I was like, okay, whatever. I didn't get it. And then it was just like, I got another call and then boom, boom, boom. It just all was like happening so fast. And the next thing I know, I got the call that I was on the show.
Did you in the audition process, and I know there's probably some things you can't talk about, were you asked to do any of your stand up to the casting people?
One of them asked me to tell a joke. I remember that, and I was like, for the sake of you and me, you don't want to hear a joke. And he was like, no, like we really wanted to. I was like, no, no, trust me, you don't want to hear one of my jokes. And then he was like, all right, fine. So I thought that might have like killed my chances right there. But I don't know, I guess they liked me enough that that didn't matter.
Well, I think to me, it's one of the things that made you likable, that for a newer comic to It's one thing for a newer comic to do an open mic in Los Angeles and a coffee shop in Tarzana, and you're not really exposing yourself to too many people, but to go on Netflix and to be like, hey, I'm kind of new at this. Here I am. It took a lot of balls. It takes
Yeah, it was
balls.
I was kind of considering not doing it even after I got it, just because I was like, is this gonna ruin any like all my chances of actually being a stand-up? Because like the first exposure to me, I knew it was just gonna be like really shit comedy. But I also thought it was like kind of hilarious that I have this huge platform and I'm just guaranteed to bomb every time. Like to me, there's something so funny in that of just like I have this opportunity and I'm just gonna keep blowing it. So like I kind of like that.
No, I think it like your pussy job joke. I thought was I laughed like you know it's such a stupid
Oh, I
joke.
wish you were in the crowd then.
But well, I mean, I wouldn't judge yourself too hardly on outdoor patio shows. But
Oh, I mean, yeah, like the second open mic I did, I found out I was doing like a day before. And it's like known as kind of like the worst open mic in Austin. I mean, it's fun, but you're in a park. Like they kind of dressed it up a little bit through tables out there, but you're doing stand up in a park on this like little boom box that's attached to this like janky microphone. I mean, I think they show like I start talking and the mic just wasn't working, and I was just like, are you kidding me? Like this is a set I'm doing on Netflix in a park with a microphone that like barely works. But I don't know, it's just it's like true and like kind of raw as to like what it's like to be an open micer, you know?
oh yeah, I mean, it's a pretty brutal process. I mean, some of the rooms I did in Los Angeles were much worse than that outdoor park you did. Because it's I thought in the first two clips of you that they shown there was actual people in the audience, like not just comics, which
Right.
in LA
That's pretty rare, even for Austin.
very
But
rare.
like people find out that they're like filming and like especially in a city where there's not a lot of filming, people get excited by that. And so they wanted to come.
Like for those, especially for the first time, did you prepare like a actual set list, and was your heart racing like, oh my god, I'm about to do my first stand up ever on TV on the biggest streaming service ever, on not just that's impressive in and of itself, but it's also a hot show, like it's in the top 10. It's not like it's just on Netflix, it's like trending.
Right.
I mean, how nervous were you?
Yeah. Okay, so before that said, I was like freaking out. Um, and I remember I was like so visibly nervous. So Bonnie came up to me and she was like, like you have what it takes to be a good comic. Like not necessarily because your jokes or anything, but like how you're like kind of like on the spectrum a little bit. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool. So like I'm not funny and I'm kind of on the spectrum, cool. But it I don't know, it was just one of those moments where it was like I was super, super nervous going into it. And I think that kind of contributed to like me bombing. Because I just couldn't get out of like the headspace of like, oh fuck, I'm doing stand-up for Netflix. Might be a big show. Like a lot of people are gonna see this. I'm like probably gonna bomb. So I was super nervous for that first set. For the second one, I just didn't give a shit. Because I was like, I already bombed once. Like, I can't get any worse than that. And like, I kind of had to change my mindset of like, I wanted to do comedy just like honestly, just to have fun. Like, it looked fun to me. And that first set was so not fun. I was like, I'm never gonna let myself get in that headspace again. From now on, every time I go up, I just want to have a good time.
Well, I think the second set where Isha came to see, uh, that made it even 100 times worse, just because, like, my fiance is a 3-time Emmy nominated writer. I don't want her at the show. Like, I don't want any girl I've ever been
Right.
with at the show, because, in my case, I've dated comics, and it's tough when they're unfunny to be attracted to them. What
Oh
was that
yeah. And
added
dude,
pressure?
I don't think there's anything more embarrassing than bombing in front of someone, because like they watch you do it and they're like, really, you do this every night? And it's like, I mean, it doesn't always go like this, but man, that was a lot. That was added pressure, but I mean, it's kind of a good test if someone likes you, right?
Oh, it's the ultimate test. But she laughed at you, so that must have been a good feeling seeing her laugh, going, okay, at least I'm in with her.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was laughing with me or at me. Um, but a laugh's a laugh, so I wasn't gonna complain.
Oh, absolutely. You'll find the longer you do comedy, you'll whatever gets you a laugh is it's all good.
Yeah.
Now, getting away from the stand-up for a second, what was it like meeting or seven strangers? Like how awkward is that?
For me, it was probably more awkward for them because I'm naturally like kind of a awkward guy.
Right.
Um, I hated it the first like 2 weeks just because I mean it's pretty stressful. You're with these like new people. We were all at our core so different. And then on top of that, you're just like surrounded by cameras. So it was really hard for me to adjust to. But I don't know. I think we ended up all becoming like pretty good friends, so it made it a lot easier. But in the beginning, I was just like, "Oh, this isn't good."
Well, I mean, there's cameras everywhere but the bathroom, right?
Right? Yeah,
I mean, I'm assuming they wouldn't want to see that. Like how
yeah. That's
so
where I did all my drugs. There's no cameras in there.
that would be funny if you were just a major heroin addict, just
Yeah.
lighting up between takes. I mean, how hard was it to not play to the camera? Like, like you're in the kitchen making food and there's a camera guy right next to you. Do you self-consciously go, I'm not going to look over there, or do you just let it play out?
I looked at the cameras pretty constantly because I like to know if they were looking at me. Um, I actually wonder how many shots of me they can't use because I would just look at the camera. Um, I get bored really easily. So a lot of times, like, we'd be shooting and I would just kind of like doze off. And I'm sure most of the time I'm dozing off, I'm looking right at a camera. Um, so it was pretty hard to like just get used to the fact that no matter what you're doing, there's like five like movie grade cameras watching you.
Right. And there's like they're in the corner of the room, like the like GoPros and stuff like that. I mean, is it
Oh yeah. Yeah.
like that one scene where you maybe didn't have the greatest set and you came back to your room and you had a little temper tantrum, like there's like four cameras catching your every move.
Yeah.
I,
Um, that was the first moment of the show that I forgot that there were cameras. Um, I remember after I did that, I got a phone call from the showrunner and he's like, "Oh, what the fuck are you doing?" And I was like, just letting some steam out. And he's like, "Well, we don't." He's like, "I don't want to make you look bad. So like, we don't have to use that." And I was like, "No, fucking use that. That's like the probably realest moment you have of me so far."
right. And I mean, I thought it was touching, at least as much as a reality show can be touching, when all your or most of your roommates came in and put your clothes back on and cleaned up your room a bit. Like it made them seem human, which
Yeah, yeah, that was nice.
yeah, I mean,
Um,
sometimes in a reality show, like I watch, like, say, Big Brother and The Amazing Race and stuff like that. They tend to highlight the worst of the people on the show, but I thought that was a nice.
yeah.
Hey, these kids are human.
Yeah, yeah, that was a nice moment. I know, I'm getting a lot of hate online. Some of the girls are getting hate online for that because they're like, "Why would you pick up, like, his clothes after he, like, acted like a baby?" It's like, "What? I mean, come on. They're just being good friends." You guys never gotten mad before?
Well, yeah. Well, I think also it's non-stand-up comics who, I've bombed in the 20 years I've done stand-up. You can ask Bonnie; she's been in the room for a few of them. It's the worst feeling in the world. So
Oh, yeah. I mean, it sucks, and then also to do it on, like, an international platform,
right.
uh,
Do
not
you,
fun.
no, it's I can only imagine. If Netflix was filming some of my bomb sets, I don't know what my mental state would be. But
Yeah.
do you mentioned that you've gotten some grief online. Like, I don't answer my trolls because it's just I think that's what they want, is for you to engage with them. Do you look at like what people are saying about your stand-up or the show online, or do you leave that alone?
So I went on the subreddit for the first time last week. I guess there's like a 20 something subreddit,
Big
and like
mistake.
the top, what was that?
Big mistake.
Oh yeah, big
Like,
mistake. Yeah, big mistake. The top posts were all just like Michael's got to quit stand up, all this stuff, and I was like, all right, like I'm never going on this. I'm never going on Twitter. I get DMs from people letting me know that I should quit stand up, and like I know I agree, but I'm gonna keep doing it. Um, I don't engage with that. I don't really give a shit because like at the end of the day, whatever people say, it's like I'm still gonna go to open mics and just like have a good time.
oh yeah, I mean, I wouldn't let anyone online ruin your dream of being a
Yeah.
writer and or stand up. Because I find most people who troll you are just jealous that you're on Netflix and they aren't. Um,
Yeah. I
well,
mean, it's kind of hard to be jealous when you see the embarrassing shit I did, but I think maybe that's the root of it. Yeah. They're a little jealous.
oh, they're very much so. Like I went on Reddit once because I was on a Comedy Central show called Roast Battle, and I had beat this, Jimmy Carr, who's like one of the biggest comics in the world, and I said, "Oh, let me go on Reddit see what they're talking about," and it was horrible. Like, this guy should
Oh
kill
yeah.
himself. He sucks. If he ever comes to the UK, we'll kill him. I'm like, what? This is insane. Um,
Yeah, I got my first death threat the other day.
that's
Which was a
crazy.
pretty cool
Like
moment. Yeah.
on Reddit,
No, in my DMs.
and like, I mean, you don't have to tell us exactly what they said, but like, what, like, did they just say, "Hey, you should kill yourself"?
It was more like, "Hey, we want to kill you," and I was like, "All right." I mean, I didn't think my comedy was that bad, but sure.
Uh, and uh, did they give a reason? Like, or they just
No, I don't know. I think they probably just wanted to get a rise out of me.
and like now you're back in LA,
Yeah, I'm back in LA now.
and do you find yourself getting a lot of performance opportunities because people want to use you because you're on Netflix and get people into the show?
I haven't gotten reached out to by anybody. I don't really want to do that. Like I still want to earn the sets that I'm gonna do.
Right,
Like I don't want to get invited to these shows and then just go up and bomb. So like I haven't gotten those opportunities, but if I did, I'd be pretty reluctant to.
right.
Um, I just did my first open mic last week. I've been like sick and whatnot, so it's been kind of hard to get back into it. I was in a hookah lounge, like real deep in the valley. Um,
Right. And
yeah.
how was that?
So it felt good getting back up, and I was like, this sucks. Maybe I'll take some of those opportunities, but I don't know. I'm kind of weary to do it because I don't want to just like blow any opportunities.
What was the like internally, like you were the last couple months used to, these beautiful high def 4K cameras filming your sets, and then you're at a hookah lounge deep in the valley. Like, was it a kind of a not a letdown, but were you kind of, oh, there's no cameras here, or were you glad they weren't there?
No, I was glad. It was like back to reality, kind of.
Right,
Um, so like they didn't film like I did comedy every single night while we were shooting the show. They didn't film all of it. They only filmed a couple. But even when I'm doing that, it's like the comics in Austin, they know I'm on the show and stuff. So it's like a lot of conversations are centered around that. So it was nice going to this open mic in LA where like nobody knows me. And I can just go up and bomb. It was like less pressure.
right. Because I know in Austin, at least, when all the LA comics started moving there to follow Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
which I never really understood, because it's like if Joe didn't talk to you in Los Angeles, he's probably not going to talk to you in Austin either. But uh, some of the Austin comics were upset that people were taking their spots on shows. So I would imagine, because you could tell in that one crowd shot, the second show, there were some Austin comics there going, "Why is this guy on stage and not me?" Did you run into like
Yeah.
resistance from some of the local comics?
So I was pretty worried about like people because I was like I knew like everyone in the comedy scene, it's a pretty tight circle. And like no one's I'm not turning any heads when I do stand up. So I was kind of worried that like everyone was gonna hate me because I had this like cool opportunity. But like after that first set, no one knew I was on it. I did that first set, and then everyone the next day was just like congratulating me. So it was pretty cool. Like everyone there was like really nice and supportive about it.
And who were your comedy and who inspired you to do comedy? Like, was it other comics, a TV show, or just
So my first like exposure to like that like really made me want to do it was the Eric Andre show.
okay?
Um that was like okay, I want to be like a writer for something like this. And then like I always watched stand up. Like my dad grew me up on like John Panette, like Stephen Wright, all those guys. And then I just kind of got into my own comedy. Like I love Mark Maron, like Mike Birbiglia, Nate Bargatze. Like I kind of just like everyone. But
Well,
the Eric Andre show and like Nathan for You were the things that I was like, "Oh, I want to be a writer."
that's weird that you say Stephen Wright because I love him. Uh, but
Oh, he's the best. You kind of sound like him.
I get that a lot. I wish I
Yeah.
was as funny as he was, but or is because he's
Yeah, he's a genius.
oh, he's like unbelievable. But usually, people your age don't really know who he is. Like I find people your age are grown up on like say Dane Cook to you know comics of that ilk.
Yeah, I don't know. I love it. So I watch the old stuff, the new stuff. I watch it all.
And in Los Angeles, what's the feedback been from other comics who like, hey, when you left, you had 800 followers on Instagram. Now you have almost 50,000. Like,
Yeah. So actually I don't know any LA comics.
good for you.
Because like I never really did the scene here. So I'm going into the scene as like this guy with a lot of followers and a verification, but I mean none of that really matters that much to me because like at the end of the day, you still got to have like good jokes.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, LA comedy can be quite cutthroat, but is that weird though for you? Like when you left to film the show, I'll assume you had maybe, I don't know, what, 1,000 followers on Instagram or something like that. And now I think I looked 2 days ago and you had like 38. And now I think today I look, you had 45. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's pretty weird. Um, I don't know. I don't. This is gonna sound like weird, but I don't really give a shit that much. Because like if I wanted to be like an influencer or whatever, sure, that'd be cool. But I still just want to be like a writer and a stand-up. So like if that can help me get to the next step, then like fuck yeah. But I don't know. It's still just like I still got to focus on like getting better at this craft.
oh, sure. No, I mean, the more you do it, the better you'll get. And
Yeah.
like you'll bomb a lot more. You'll do well. Like, you know, I still bomb at the Comedy Store here and there. It's like,
Yeah.
you think you've been doing something 20 years, you wouldn't bomb, but like sometimes, sometimes you just don't grab the crowd and it
Right,
happens.
right. It's just not clicking.
Have you ever been heckled much?
Oh yeah, the second night I ever did stand up was in this small bar in a place called Pflugerville, Texas, and it was like 20 comics, and then at the bar was just like 8 locals that like they looked like troll people, and I mean any comic that went up, you couldn't even tell a joke because they were just screaming at you. That was the second night I ever did stand up, and I was like, I don't know if this is for me. Uh, but well, I kept doing it. But other than that, not really, because most the stuff I've done, it's usually just comics there, and you're
Right.
not gonna heckle each other.
I don't know. Some of the only comedy shows I did were stand-ups that they seem to relish. Like I find comics, at least in LA, I don't know about Austin because I've only done stand-up there once. Uh, Comics love seeing another comic bomb, and
Yeah. I think at an open mic though, like you're so numb to the bomb that like if you're doing a show and you're watching someone bomb, it's a lot more funny than at an open mic because you're just kind of waiting for your turn. And you're like, all right, let's get this over with.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember once I was bombing at the Comedy Store, and like every comic who was there started coming into the room because it was like, "Hey, this is great." I'm like, "No, this
Yeah.
sucks, man." So getting to and I know there's some questions you can't ask or answer. You seem to develop a relationship with Isha, and was that because like sometimes when I watch a reality show like a Big Brother, there's a showmance, what they call it, and
Yeah.
like, oh, this is just for the show. Like, you seem to actually develop real feelings towards each other. Was that weird to be on the number one streaming show on Netflix and like get a girlfriend at the same time?
Um, yeah, it was because like also you're pretty much living with this person. So anytime I've ever liked a girl, it's been like we're distant, and then in 3 weeks I get that text like saying, "Hey, I want to friend zone you" or something like that. But in this case, you're facing that relationship pretty much every second of every day. So it was really weird to like develop a relationship with someone you're living with because it just sped it up like so fast.
Right, and like I don't think I could kiss a girl with a camera crew in the room. Like,
Oh, that was the hardest thing ever. I was really bad at that.
well, I think you did okay at the end. Even like when
I
you
mean, I'm
had
I'm already I'm already like not the most intimate guy, so
right.
to have to do it on a camera is like I was freaking out.
Well, yeah, I mean, even the dinner or lunch where you asked her to be your girlfriend, and you guys had that semi-awkward conversation about it. Like, I don't think I could do that in real life, let alone knowing, okay, there's going to be a million people watching this conversation. Like, did you try and alter how you normally would have said it, or is that how you would have said it with no cameras around?
No, that's probably how I would have said it. I hit a point about like 3 or 4 weeks into the show where I was just like, you know what? I don't give a shit anymore. And I just kind of like leaned into it and like went in with the attitude of just like, fuck it. So that made it a lot easier to just do things how I would normally do them on camera.
And they don't uh and once again, I don't want to get into an area we can't really get into, but like, do they guide you into conversations, or like do they just say, hey, be yourself, we're filming everything and we'll take care of the rest?
It's a little bit of both, but for the most part, it's just like be yourself.
Right,
Um,
because
yeah, like I mean, I think it's like if they see us heading down that conversation and they want it to happen, they might be like, "Hey, like you should like dive into that a little bit more." But for the most part, it's just like do what you want to do and treat this how you would normally treat it.
and how is the stand up going? I would imagine you have a certain confidence now. Just hey, you're on Netflix, dude. Whether no matter if you're 6 months, because you've been doing it now about 6 months, right?
About 6 months, yeah.
And even though maybe the first two sets that were shown weren't the greatest sets, or you must have a little bit more confidence of going, hey, I've been in front of millions of people now, so even at this hookah lounge, this isn't so bad now.
Right. The one thing that's like really good that came out of this show is like I got my nerves so under control. Because like there's nothing more nerve-wracking than like going on a date with like a 51-year-old in front of these cameras or like doing stand-up on cameras. So all these big things makes just like a silly open mic seem like nothing. So like I still get a little nervous before, but nothing like when I was doing it in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that you get nervous still is a great sign. I think in my case, like those few sets, I've never been nervous and was like, oh, I got this. This is easy. I bombed incredibly. So,
Yeah, I don't see the nerves ever going away. But that's you got to be nervous or else you don't care.
oh, I agree. Like, I think the one time I auditioned for a TV show and I was like, oh, I got this, man. And every other comic was reading their notes and set list in this order, and I was like, I'm just gonna wing it, man. And then I almost quit comedy after that show. But um, and in terms of the future of of your participation on the show, is that something that you guys wrap season one, and then they contact you down the road, or do they say, "Hey, we're keep in touch," or how's that work? If you can talk about
Yeah,
that.
I have absolutely no idea. I think it was like everyone's just kind of going home for the holidays. We'll see how the show does. There's like probably a good chance they want to do it again and they don't bring us back. Either way, I'm pretty cool with it. Like if they invite us back to do another season, that's awesome. If they don't, all right, cool. I'm not like solidifying myself as a reality TV star, like there's positives to whatever happens. And at this point, I don't really care. Like whatever happens, happens.
Right, because there was kind of a cliffhanger at the end of the. I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't watched the show, but there
Yeah.
was.
But I get AIDS. That's what happens.
But hey,
Um,
man, that could
I had to
get you.
spoil it for them.
I mean, that certainly would be a cliffhanger. I like your dark energy. You'll do well in LA stand up. But they kind of left it open where I mean, I know you said you're moving back to LA because I mean, Austin, even though it's a great comedy city, LA is where you have to be to make things happen at some point.
Right.
Um, but your girl, Isha's staying there for her clothing line, so there was kind of
Mhm.
they didn't really necessarily finish that story. They left it open to maybe season
Yeah.
two. Like, so do you still talk to most of your castmates?
Oh yeah, we talk all the time, especially right now while like shit's really rolling.
Right.
And we're just kind of like basking in the spotlight together and enjoying it. Right now all of us are home for the holidays, and then I think me and Isha are both kind of figuring out like what our move is. Like, do we want to go back to Austin? Do we want to stay in LA? I mean, it makes a lot more sense for her to go back to Austin than me, but I'm kind of open to whatever because from what I've seen of the LA stand-up scene, I think Austin's a better place to start out. So like I'm kind of fine either way.
Well, I've often said I started here in LA, and I wish I would have started anywhere else because I agree with you. I think it's better to bomb and find your character somewhere else, and then come to
Yeah,
LA when you're a couple years in. Or but it's hard for you because you're from LA, so
right.
uh, it's not your fault. This is where you're born. But I think I see so many comics who start in LA and they bomb and in front of the wrong people, and then it's like, oh, we've already seen this guy or girl. We're good. Let's see the next. It's tough, but
Yeah, you also have to pay to do open mics here, which is insane.
oh yeah, there's so many con artists in the LA comedy scene. But I'm sure they're in the Austin scene too, just because it's such a hot market. And I think when Joe's Club opens up, it'll be even hotter. And
Yeah, I mean, dude, the Austin comedy scene was awesome. Like everyone everyone was like super chill. Like I made a ton of friends within like my first month. And like the open mics were amazing. You could hit like 3 or 4 in a night and they're all free and like people there are like generally pretty supportive.
yeah, no, I like I said, I only did it for one night just because that's how I am. I have ADD, so like I'll just go one night. I'll do
Yeah.
a Red Band show at the Vulcan Gas
Mhm.
mining company, whatever that place is
Yeah.
called. Uh, see how it is, and I felt the Austin comics were very welcoming, and even though I was scared, like I said, I had heard that they weren't maybe that happy with LA comics invading their turf. So
Yeah.
it's like survival of the fittest, I guess.
Yeah. I didn't know any original Austin comics. Like all my buddies had moved to Austin just like I did.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's like was a core group of like 20 to 30, and then once Joe moved there, and then the great Tony Hinchcliffe,
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you been asked to do Kill Tony?
No, you just go and sign up like it's an open mic.
Right.
Um, I never wanted to do it because like I'd see all my peers go and they just would like bomb and then get roasted for 10 minutes. And it's kind of like, oh, what's the point of that? Like I might as well wait until like I have better stuff.
Right.
Um, especially it's funny I say that because like my thinking was like this is gonna be on a national platform with like 200,000 people watching it. I don't want my first introduction to comedy to be that bomb, but now I'm on an international platform with millions of people watching, and my first introduction is a big old bomb.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad, dude. I've seen a lot worse.
Yeah, sure.
But your awkwardness was almost endearing. Like it made me like you. Like, okay, this guy's being real. Like, I'm not going to judge someone who's been doing stand up 3 months on the jokes. I mean, I was
Yeah.
probably horrible for 2 years. I'm not saying you're going to
That's
be.
something I wish people understood is like how long it takes to get good.
Oh,
Um,
it's like it takes at least 5 years, in my opinion, and that's just to find your voice, and then
right.
probably another 2 years to hone that voice into the act you want. So that's fucking 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But people just see this little 2-minute clip of me doing it after 3 months and they're like, "Ah, I don't think this is for you." And it's like, "Wait, I just started. Come on."
oh my god, if someone was filming my sets on a national platform 3 months in, I probably wouldn't be on this earth. I'd be so damaged by it.
Yeah.
So, what's the future for you right now in LA stand up? Do you want to be like, most people's goal in LA is like, I want to be passed at the Comedy Store or the Improv or the Laugh Factory, or do you just want to try and concentrate on getting better at, you know,
Yeah, I mean, right now it's just like just focus on getting better. Um, I think that'd be a crazy goal to try to get past at the Comedy Store at this point.
right?
Um, so I think it's right now it's just like keep hitting open mics. I still want to be a writer, so it's like keep writing, keep filming my dumb shit, and like hopefully it clicks. I have a bigger audience now, and the people that follow me are definitely like supportive. So it's like keep coming out with funny stuff for them, and hopefully it all clicks.
Now, is there pressure now that you have, a lot of followers to crank out more content and appease them? Because usually out of sight, out of mind. If you like, I'm horrific on TikTok. I just don't get the humor.
Oh yeah, I'm not very good at that either.
But now I'm sure you have like a lot of followers now. So you feel pressure to like,
Yeah,
God, I got to put out something.
yeah, that's been on my mind a lot. It's like I don't want this to be my 5 seconds of fame,
Right,
but also like I feel like I've gotten to this point by not really giving a shit.
right.
Like when I try to do something, I give it my all and hopefully it works out. But like for the most part, it's like, who really cares? And so I feel like if I've gotten here from that, I should probably keep that mindset.
And what was it like to be somewhat mentored, or I don't want to say tutored, but like have guidance from a legend? And I really mean that, like Bonnie McFarlane. Like she is just one of the best people in comedy, as well as her
Yeah,
husband, the great Rich Voss. But
right.
Bonnie is just amazing. Was that like kind of neat for you?
It was cool. The thing that really helped was like after I bombed, she gave me a good little pep talk. Because like people like the director or whatever would come up to you and be like, "Ah, you'll get him next time," but it's like I don't really want to hear that from you.
Right.
So like it was dope having her there because she actually like knew what it felt like. So it was good having her there to just like be like, who really gives a shit? You'll like that was nice to have that person there who had like been through it and she knew the right things to say and had good advice rather than like the fucking like audio guy being like giving me comedy tips.
Oh, that's the worst. Like when,
Oh yeah, that first set I did, I shit you not, I think every person from production, they were trying to give me tips before the set and I was like, look, I don't need it. You guys have never done a set in your life. Like, yeah, I don't need to hear this.
Yeah, you guys are less experienced than I am. So
And I've been doing this for 3 months, so fuck off a little bit.
did Bonnie give you any like pearls of wisdom that you can share with us, like to help alleviate your nerves, or just any writing tips?
Um, Not really, but I also didn't seek them out because, like, in my mind, like, this whole the pursuit of stand-up is kind of like a singular thing where, like, you have to I don't know, you gotta just do it yourself. So, like, I never really seeked out tips from her. I probably should have because she definitely knows what she's talking about, but I don't know. I just kinda did it my own style and it didn't really work out, but but that was my mindset.
And did any of your castmates, none of them lived in LA before the show? Like, did any of them come out here to explore opportunities?
I think a lot of them are still in Austin right now, but I know there's talks about a few of them coming out here.
Okay.
I don't really know what their plan is. I think it's kind of like we're all just waiting and seeing what are we actually getting from this, you know?
Right. I mean, tremendous exposure. Like that's
Right. Yeah.
like I would say they would bring the show back. But I know in reality, like in MTV had that show, The Real World, they would change cast members
Right. It was a new cast every season.
in different cities. But I think because Austin is such a thriving city right now, who knows? I hope they bring you all back. 'Cause-
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool. I feel like there's a lot of stuff left kind of untapped.
yeah, I
Um,
mean,
I know people on Instagram really like are curious as to what's going on in all of our lives. So I personally think it'd be a good move. I think people like this and they want to see more of us, but that's up to Netflix.
yeah, and your stand up will be better. Like, let's just say theoretically in season two, you'll have more,
Yeah,
slightly more experience and whatnot.
right.
do-
It
do-
should be better. We'll see.
oh yeah, well, yeah, if you're doing, yeah, but now that you're kind of like Mr. T in Rocky 3, you're in the basements of hookah lounges and you know,
Yeah.
LA open mics, and then you go back to Austin and you got the camera crews and the crowds. I think that's the one good thing about comedy in LA. There's so many shitty rooms that you perform
Right.
in that when you do get a good room or a good opportunity like you on Netflix, it's easy. It's like, oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah. You're taking weights off that baseball bat for sure.
All right. Well, Michael, this has been amazing. I know you probably have been sorry, FedEx is at the door. I know you've been probably inundated with interview requests. So I do appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, of course.
And I hope to run in to you in the LA scene.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I'll probably see you around.
oh, absolutely. If you need any help, please DM me. I like to help out the younger comics when I can. You probably don't need to plug your Instagram on my humble little show, but
Do you want to plug yours on mine?
yeah, I probably should. You should get a podcast. I'd love to do it. Where
Yeah.
can people find you online?
I'm on Instagram right now. It's Michael Aaron Fractor, and I'm kind of doing TikTok, but there's not much to see there. Yeah, just follow me on Instagram. I'm gonna be posting a lot of my new stuff on there.
Well, I want all my fans to become fans of you because stand up, especially in the beginning, is brutal. It's a very lonely endeavor. You would think you being on
Yeah.
Netflix, how would you be lonely? But it's a very tough.
You still find yourself by yourself at a hookah lounge on a
Oh,
Wednesday night.
absolutely. Or
It's still
even,
lonely.
the show you didn't have the greatest set and you came back to your room and did that. Like that's LA comedy right there.
Yeah.
I because I've often said you could be in a bad band. You're the singer. You could turn around and blame the drummer for being sucky or the bass player. But
Right.
when you're like us, you're on that stage and you don't have a good set, you can't blame the
It's all
curtain.
you.
Yeah, it's all you, which makes it great when you do well. It's like
Right.
all me. But Michael, thank you very much. You're a good dude, and congratulations on the success of the show. And I'll see you in a hookah lounge in the valley, hopefully next week. Have a good Christmas
Yeah.
and continued success, my friend.
All right. Thank you very much for having me.
Dude, thank you.
Peace out.